Eisenstadt's iconic photograph captures a U.S. Navy sailor kissing a dental assistant in Times Square on VJ Day, August 14, 1945. It symbolizes the jubilant end of World War II. Rumeysa Gelgi stands as the world's tallest living woman. Her extraordinary height is caused by Weaver syndrome, a rare genetic condition that causes rapid growth and skeletal maturation abnormalities from birth. In 1860, Valentine Tapley vowed never to cut his beard again if Abraham Lincoln became president. He kept his word, growing a massive 12-foot-long beard until his death decades later in 1910. A portrait of Albert Woolson, who was the undisputed last surviving member of the Union Army. He passed away in 1956, marking the end of the direct link to the American Civil War. Ham, a chimpanzee, poses before his historic flight. In 1961, he became the first hominid launched into space, successfully completing his mission and paving the way for human spaceflight in the Mercury program. In 1903, Edward Llewellyn made angling history by catching the largest sea bass ever recorded off Catalina Island. He poses next to the massive fish, which weighed a staggering 425 pounds. Hannes de Jong, the 1970 pole-sitting world champion, is pictured calmly passing time atop a pole. Pole-sitting was a fad endurance contest where participants sat on small platforms for days. Chandra Bahadur Dangi poses for a photo. Standing at just 21.5 inches tall, the Nepalese man holds the Guinness World Record for the shortest adult human to have ever been verified. Ahmet Ali Çelikten poses in his flight gear. An Ottoman aviator, he is widely considered one of the very first black pilots in aviation history, earning his wings during World War I. Emma Lillian Todd, a self-taught inventor, works on her designs. She was the first woman to design and build an aircraft in 1906, contributing significantly to early aviation despite lacking formal engineering training. A photograph of William Hutchings, one of the very last surviving veterans of the American Revolutionary War. He lived long enough to be photographed, bridging the gap between the Founding Fathers and photography. A heartwarming moment during the brutal Battle of the Bulge in 1944 shows an American soldier shaking paws with a friendly dog in Luxembourg, finding a brief moment of joy amidst war. A Dutch soldier operates a personal sound locator device in the 1930s. Before radar, these acoustic horns were used to detect the engine noise of approaching enemy aircraft from a distance. Singer Olivia Newton-John smiles at a music festival in England in 1970. This photo captures the Australian star early in her career, years before Grease would make her a global icon. Italian actress Gina Lollobrigida appears in costume as Esmeralda for the 1956 film The Hunchback of Notre Dame. She was considered one of the most beautiful women in the world during this era. A young U.S. Marine dances the twist with Hollywood bombshell Jane Mansfield in Newfoundland, 1961. His joyous expression captures the excitement of meeting a superstar during a USO entertainment stop. Madame Inès de Courcelles poses in her vehicle in 1909. She broke gender barriers by becoming one of the first licensed female taxi drivers in Paris, paving the way for women in transportation. A portrait of Chief Red Cloud of the Oglala Lakota taken in 1900. A fierce war leader who transitioned to diplomacy, he fought to protect his people's rights during a turbulent era. Young children work in a field farming beets in Colorado, 1915. This image highlights the prevalence of child labor in American agriculture before stricter laws were enacted to protect youth welfare. John DeLorean sits proudly inside one of his iconic stainless steel sports cars in London. The car would later become legendary worldwide as the time machine in the Back to the Future franchise. Musician Sting poses on a Vespa GS 160 in 1979. This photo captures the mod aesthetic associated with the film Quadrophenia, in which Sting played the character Ace the Face during the Scooter revival. A young Madonna poses inside her East Village apartment in Manhattan, 1983. Taken just before her massive breakthrough, the photo captures the raw ambition and style of the future Queen of Pop. In 1952, Kent Cigarettes introduced the Micronite filter to protect smokers. Ironically, this filter contained crocidolite asbestos, the most dangerous form of the mineral, exposing consumers to severe health risks for years. A portrait of Pamela Anderson taken in the early 1990s. This image captures the Canadian actress and model just as she was rising to international fame as a star of Baywatch. A young Andre the Giant towers over locals in the 1960s. Even before his wrestling fame, his immense size due to acromegaly made him a figure of awe wherever he went. A view of Earth seen through the window of the Apollo 11 spacecraft in July 1969. This perspective captures the isolation and beauty of the planet during the first moon landing mission. A delivery man in Tokyo balances a towering stack of soba noodle trays on his shoulder while cycling in 1935. This dangerous feat required incredible balance and skill to navigate busy city streets. Actors Lewis Wilson and Douglas Croft pose as Batman and Robin for the 1943 theatrical serial. This was the very first time the dynamic duo appeared in live action on the screen. 19-year-old pilot Edwin Lucky Wright examines the damage to his P-47 Thunderbolt after his 39th mission. A massive hole in the propeller blade shows just how close he came to being shot down. Comedy legend Charlie Chaplin poses with his wife Una O'Neill and 6 of their children in 1957. The photo offers a glimpse into the happy domestic life of the exiled film star. Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay posed together in 1983. The pair starred in Risky Business and dated in real life, capturing the youthful glamour of 1980s Hollywood just as their careers exploded. Vernon Presley and Minnie Mae Presley, Elvis's father and grandmother, share a quiet breakfast in 1959. The candid moment shows the family life of the rock star while he was away in the Army. Badminton stars Alan Budikusuma and Susi Susanti pose with their medals. They made history as the first Indonesians to win gold medals at the Summer Olympics, dominating the sport on the world stage. A historical photo captures the first aircraft to ever fly in the Philippines. This event marked the beginning of aviation history in the archipelago, bringing modern transportation technology to the region. A street scene shows the first traffic light installed in the Philippines at Plaza Goiti, Manila, in 1938. The device symbolized the modernization and growing automobile traffic of the pre-war colonial capital. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay smile triumphantly in 1953. They were the first confirmed climbers to reach the summit of Mount Everest, achieving a feat of endurance that had baffled explorers for decades. Waiters serve a fine dining lunch to steelworkers on a girder high above the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in 1930. The publicity stunt contrasts the luxury of the hotel with the danger of construction work. Marilyn Monroe performs for cheering troops during a USO tour in Korea. She later described this tour as the first time she truly felt like a star, buoyed by the soldiers' immense adoration. Isabella Boyer, a widowed singer sewing machine heiress and model, poses in 1878. She is widely rumored to have been the physical inspiration for Bartholdi's face of the Statue of Liberty. David Bowie walks with his wife Angela Barnett in 1971. Their fashion-forward style and androgynous looks define the glam rock era, influencing pop culture and challenging traditional gender norms of the time. Berenice Abbott captures a woman meticulously wiring an IBM computer in 1948. The image highlights the crucial, often overlooked role women played in the early hardware assembly and programming of the computer age. Workers stand next to the massive anchor chain of the Titanic in 1909. The sheer scale of the links emphasizes the engineering magnitude of the ill-fated ocean liner before its launch. Survivors of the 1972 Andes flight disaster gather near the wreckage. After crashing in remote mountains, the rugby team endured 72 days of freezing conditions and starvation before being rescued against all odds. Winston Churchill smiles while leaving a New York nursing home in 1931. He was recovering from being hit by a taxi on Fifth Avenue after looking the wrong way while crossing the street. Poon Lim, a Chinese seaman, is rescued in 1943. He survived alone on a wooden life raft for 133 days after his ship was torpedoed, setting a record for survival at sea. A photograph captures Albert Einstein's office in Princeton on the day he died in 1955. The chalkboard covered in equations and the cluttered desk show a brilliant mind working until the very end. A hand-colored portrait depicts a female warrior, or anamusha, in samurai armor in late 19th century Japan. These women were trained in martial arts to protect their households during times of war. Real-life Wii veteran Babe Heffron poses with actor Robin Lang, who played him on the set of Band of Brothers in 2000. It was a touching meeting between the hero and the actor. Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner relax on their yacht, Splendor, in the early 1970s. The couple married each other twice, and the boat would later become the site of Wood's tragic drowning. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and King George V of the UK stand together in 1913. The first cousins look remarkably like twins, highlighting the close blood ties between European royal families. Jimi Hendrix films with a movie camera alongside a girlfriend in a pickup truck in 1967. This candid shot captures the guitar legend in a relaxed moment during the height of the psychedelic era. Neil Armstrong lights a celebratory cigar in March 1969. Taken shortly before the Apollo 11 mission, the photo shows the astronaut in a rare moment of relaxation before making history on the moon. A young Hans Zimmer stands before a massive Moog modular synthesizer in 1970. This early exposure to electronic instruments paved the way for him to become one of cinema's most legendary film composers. President-elect John F. Kennedy poses with Jackie, Caroline, and John Jr. in 1960. The portrait captures the youthful energy and promise of Camelot just before they moved into the White House. A couple dances joyfully on a New York City sidewalk in 1979. The spontaneous moment captures the vibrant street life and disco-era energy of the city during a gritty but culturally rich decade. Richard O'Brien and Tim Curry posed together circa 1974. As the creator and star of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they launched a cult phenomenon that celebrated weirdness and sexual fluidity. Lonnie Johnson poses with his invention, the Super Soaker, in 1992. An aerospace engineer for NASA, he accidentally invented the high-powered water gun, creating one of the most popular toys of the 90s. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and Van Halen singer David Lee Roth posed together at the U.S. Festival in 1983. The unlikely pair represents the collision of tech culture and rock hedonism. Bob Ross paints for a crowd in Central Park, NYC, in 1989. The gentle instructor brought his joy of painting to the outdoors, mesmerizing onlookers with his calm demeanor and happy little trees. Photographer R.J. Salmon dangles bravely from a crate suspended by a crane to capture Fleet Street, London. This risky maneuver highlights the physical danger photographers endured to get the perfect aerial shot. Baseball legend Babe Ruth sits in the stands in Washington, D.C., surrounded by fans. Even off the field, the great Bambino drew massive attention, embodying the golden age of American sports. 75-year-old Mary Parrish lights a cigarette for her 101-year-old mother, Mary Ann, in London, 1946. This moment of mother-daughter bonding captures a generation of resilience just after the end of World War II. Tsar Alexander III poses with his family in Gatchina, 1887. The photo shows the future Tsar Nicholas II as a young man, capturing the Russian imperial family years before the revolution destroyed them. Winston Churchill visits Bradford in 1942, cigar in mouth, flashing his famous V for victory sign. In this shot, his palm faces inward, a gesture that inadvertently carried a rude meaning in Britain. A Victorian couple from the 1880s poses with goofy expressions, breaking the stereotype of stoic ancestors. Their playful demeanor proves that people in the 19th century had a sense of humor and fun. A security officer watches gambling tables through a ceiling slit at the Mint in Las Vegas, 1968. Before digital cameras, these eye-in-the-sky catwalks were the primary method of casino surveillance. Marlon Brando appears on the set of the 1953 film Julius Caesar. Known for his method acting, Brando brought a brooding intensity to the role of Mark Antony, modernizing Shakespeare for cinema audiences. A display shows cow shoes used by moonshiners during Prohibition. By carving wooden blocks to resemble hooves, they disguised their footprints as cattle to evade police while transporting illegal alcohol through the woods. Jup Sunju of Philips introduces the compact disc prototype in 1979. This revolutionary digital audio format, developed with Sony, replaced cassette tapes and vinyl, becoming the global standard for music for decades. Jesse Owens arrives in London after winning 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. His historic performance dismantled Nazi theory